everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse DC Direct Page Puncher Injustice 2 Batman. This is Batman based off the Injustice 2 comic. He's part of the newest wave of Page Punchers, both Batman and Green Arrow. I got this figure at Target. Had one of the Target stores punch the number for me, and they told me which Target had the figures. Only one in the entire city. I'm sure the other Targets will get them soon. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see at the top, ages 12 plus, includes exclusive comic book in an English language. DC Direct, McFarlane Toys. It's pretty good to see that DC Direct logo again. It's been a long time. This is how DC Direct's going to survive, through artist-specific figures from McFarlane. DC, Batman. Here he's in the package. He has 2 Batarangs, collector's card, display stand, and a comic book. One side of the package, Batman from the Injustice 2 comic, part of the Page Puncher line. Other side says Page Punchers. At the bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case it helps anybody. And on the back side, here's Batman, and here's the comic. So no further ado, let's open him up. And I got both these figures at Target today. The next wave of Page Punchers, both Batman and Green Arrow. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with 2 Batarangs, a display stand, a collector's card, and a comic book. But before we look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Batman from the Injustice 2 comic series. His look is very similar to the game. It's an armored look. So let's check him out. Start with his head here. The suit is mostly gray armor. He's got kind of medium length ears. Cowl looks very nice, dark around the eyes. Eyes are white. Chin looks pretty nice. Stern expression. He's got the shoulder pads, and they do kind of move around a little bit. Going to prevent them from obstructing the articulation. Bat symbol is very thin. Almost doesn't even look like the bat symbol. He's got armored chest plate, all kind of armor on his suit. Black, gray, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Utility belt looks pretty good. Offsets all the black and gray on this guy. Cape, typical Batman cape. It does have a pretty good amount of texturing on it. Overall, pretty nice looking Batman figure. And just like a closer look at his face and head sculpt, the cowl looks very nice. Dark around the eyes. You can actually see his eyes are not pure white. Chin looks good. Cowl looks fantastic. Just the color's throwing me off a little bit. You can see the different sculpting there. Very well done. Now let's check out his accessories. And let's start with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. Black perfect circle. It says DC on the bottom. It's got one peg for the pegals on his feet. Very thin. Very basic. Here's his collector's card. As you can see, it's a replica of the cover of Injustice 2 #1. We have Batman, Supergirl, Dr. Fate, and Green Arrow. I'm surprised they didn't make a wave of 4 figures like usual. Maybe we'll get those other 2 later. Batman. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now let's look at this comic. This is Injustice #1, and I believe this cover is exclusive to the McFarlane Toys. Once again, Batman, Supergirl, Green Arrow, and Dr. Fate. Injustice. One thing I don't like about this comic is that both Batman and Green Arrow have the exact same cover. I wish one came with #1, one came with #2, or at least they both come with different cover variants. Now let's look at his Batarangs. He has 2 of them. They're very thin. They're made of gray plastic. They kind of remind me of the Batarangs in The Dark Knight Rises that he would use to tranquilize people. Here's Batman holding one of the Batarangs. I would show him holding both of them, but only has one gripping hand and one fisted hand. I personally think that was a big mistake. He should be able to hold both the Batarangs at the same time. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 7.0 inches tall, which can translate to about 17 centimeters. And if you go to the top of the ears, about 7.2 inches tall. Now let's check out his articulation. Start with his head here. course, he can rotate from side to side. He can look up about that far, down about that far. Not too bad. Can't tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out a little bit more than 90 degrees. Shoulder pads are soft. They move out of the way as to not obstruct the articulation. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, increasing the range of motion and covering up that gap. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows, they go in that far. His wrists, and the wrists and the ankles are done the new style, not the older ugly ball joints. Can rotate, and it's hinged as well. Torso, it's got a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another ball joint is waist, rotate around, forward and back, giving him a pretty impressive range of motion in his torso area. Legs, complete as a splits, not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation is pretty much non-existent. They go forward, about that far, not very much, and back, not at all. Double jointed knees, they go all the way in. Then his ankle here, once again, done the new style. Forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. And notice he has nice sculpting detail on the boots there. Here's Batman on a rooftop, overlooking the streets of Gotham City. And here he is, taking on the Storm collectibles in Justice Bane. Here's Bane, holding Batman over his head. He's getting ready to break the bat. Batman reaches to his utility belt, pulls out a batarang, and just like almost every incarnation where Batman takes on Bane, he uses batarang and cuts open his tube, disabling Bane. Now let's check him out, next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Injustice figures. Here's this McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Batman, next to the Mattel Batman Unlimited Injustice Batman. Both have an armored look. Then with both the Mattel Injustice Joker and Batman. Then, next to the SH Figure Arts Injustice Batman, also in quite the armored look. Then, with the SH Figure Arts Injustice Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn. Here's this McFarlane Injustice Batman, next to the Storm Collectibles Injustice Bane. A long time ago, Storm Collectibles showed us an Injustice Batman, but it seems like that thing's never actually going to come out. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice figures. Here he is, next to Green Arrow. These are the two figures from this wave of Page Punchers, and the only two figures from the Injustice 2 comic. Then, next to the McFarlane Injustice video game Green Arrow figure. And here, with the McFarlane Injustice Flash and Reverse Flash figures. Here's Batman, next to both versions of the Injustice Dr. Fate. And now, next to both versions of the Injustice Gorilla Grodd, of which I got 3 of the Platinum Chase variants. I used those for Gorilla Grodd soldiers, and the gold one for Grodd himself. Here's the entire McFarlane DC Multiverse Injustice 2 collection, and I hope they give us more. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane video game Batman figures. Here he is, with all 3 variations of the Arkham Asylum Batman. Then, with both versions of the Arkham Knight Batman. Here he is, with the previous Page Puncher Batman figure. This was based off a Black Adam comic that featured Batman. And here's this new Page Puncher Batman, with the first wave of Page Punchers. Still need that black and white Black Adam, the Walmart version. And here he is, next to the Page Puncher Mega Figure Gorilla Grodd. I'd say the first wave of Page Punchers is the Black Adam wave, and then, I don't know if it's wave 2 or wave 1.5, the 2 Injustice figures. And this Grodd is part of the next wave. It'll be the Flash wave. I expect those figures to come out any day now. Now let's check them out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figures. Here he is, with 4 of them, all based off the comics. Then, with some more Batman figures. These are also based off the comics. And here, with some more Batman figures. These are from different various forms of media. Now let's check them out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the 2 most recent Mega figures, at least before Gorilla Grodd. Here's Bane and Necron. And here he is, next to the Walmart exclusive gold label versions of the Rebirth Shazam, Speed Metal Dark Flash, Nightfall Azrael in Batman armor, and Parallax Hal Jordan. Here's Batman next to the Rebirth Deathstroke and the Court of Owls Talon. Then, with the Speeding Bullets Batman and the Dark Knights Metal Batrocidus. Here's Batman next to the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold 2-pack. And now, with the Future State Superman, the Infinite Frontier Scarecrow, and the New 52 Static. Here's Batman with the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive gold label paint variations of the Arkham Knight Red Hood and Scarecrow. And here he is with the Black Adam movie wave. Then, with the Blackest Night wave, collector build Atrocitus. Now let's check him out next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix them with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman figures. And here he is, next to some NECA Batman figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 Collective Batman figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures. And here he is, next to some Mafex Batman figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, with some SH Figure Arts Batman figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, he's a pretty nice Batman figure. The batarangs are pretty cool. His articulation is everything you would expect from McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. I like the shoulder pads don't interfere with anything. The sculpt and paint job are excellent. Just something about the gray on the cowl just sort of throws me off. I feel like it needs to be black. If I were to rate this figure, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Very solid release. Really enjoying this guy. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.